Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator here on America's Next. I have Jeffrey Brown here with me today. How you doing, Jeffrey?
What's going on, man? Thank you so much, Cedric. I'm good. I can't complain, brother.
Absolutely, without a doubt. I want to say hello to everybody who's tuning in now, people who can see us, who we can't see. I want to say hello to you. I appreciate you guys each and every time you tune into our episodes because we've always got a special guest. Jeffrey, talk to us about where you're from. Let's go.
Where I'm from, Jeffrey Brown is from Brooklyn, New York, Tompkins Projects, right up the block from Marcy. That's where I'm from, Brooklyn, baby.
What was it like for you growing up in Brooklyn?
What was it like for me growing up in Brooklyn? It was, that's Brooklyn, it's real. Right. I was from the projects, so it ain't that easy when you're coming up in the projects, man. So,
Some people call Brooklyn the borough of kings.
Oh, the king of borough. Yeah, of course. We got a lot of kings that's from there. Biggie, you got Jay, you got me.
That's right.
You got a lot of people that come from Brooklyn.
That's right. Was your family from New York? Did they come from another place, another state?
My biological family? Yeah, I'm not really sure. Actually, I don't really know where they're from. But I would expect them to be from one of the five boroughs. I believe. Matter of fact, I think if I could recall, I think it's might be from the Bronx or somewhere in that area. But I know that they were from a different island. It was like Caribbean. So
you say your biological family, so you obviously had some dynamics change in your life early on. Can you talk to me about your earliest memories? What was happening?
Ooh, my earliest memories. I just really recall the police coming in the house, and this is when I was probably the age of 3. I remember being the police coming in, taking me out, going from one foster home into another foster home to another foster home, and then just waking up. Like, that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Hold on. Your first memory was an interaction with the police?
Well, I mean, not when you said, I thought you meant a memory of my parents.
Well, just an early memory in general. I mean, it still fits that category. You have memories from a long, long time ago. You were a child and you were interacting with the police because they were taking you out of your home.
Yeah, so it was either ACS or the police. I'm not really sure, but it was somebody of authority. I do remember that it was someone of authority. I say police because that's the highest authority that we know of right now. But I know it was somebody who was taking me from my parents and putting me elsewhere. So yeah, I remember that vividly.
Wow.
As far as the first memories of my mom or my biological family, yeah, I can't really
think back that far.
Yeah, think back that far. That's probably like
Do you recall why you were taken out of your parents' custody?
Oh yeah, she was on. I don't recall. I know why, because she was on drugs.
Okay.
Yeah, she was on drugs. My dad, I wasn't around. I don't really know much about him. But yeah, so I recall that she was on drugs and stuff like that.
To this day, you don't know much about your father?
Oh no, I don't know. I know nothing about my dad. No.
Wow.
Yeah, I know nothing about my father.
Why do you think it goes that way? So many young people, young adults, full grown adults, they have a similar narrative. I think I know who my mom was, but my father, can't tell you anything about him. What do you think about that pattern? What does it say?
I think that is a lot of responsibility on a man to be the breadwinner of the household. So I think that a lot of people fall under the pressure of that. And whether that's choosing drugs or selling drugs or doing something that's trying to get them to provide or escape that responsibility, I think that's really why we all face that same narrative. And I think that's what we see in today's times too. But I guess back in the day, and that time, the 80s, that's more the crack era. So I think a lot of people probably got caught up in that because they thought that was the escape from the responsibility, that they had to take on.
When you hear the word crack, what does that mean to you? What
Oh,
does it? Yeah. What does it conjure when you hear the word crack?
when I hear the word crack, I just think it means drug. One of the drugs that were put to dismantle a lot of families.
That's
Um,
right.
so that's the only thing that really resonates with me right now.
That's right. When I hear the word crack, I I immediately have a flashback of a documentary that my teacher showed the class. We were in the fourth grade,
Mhm.
and she was one of those teachers who would always go outside of the curriculum to teach us what she wanted us to know. You know, nobody played games with her. You didn't
Right.
fly paper planes in her class. You didn't, you didn't throw any paper balls or anything like that. You sat up straight and you listened because of the journey in her voice, you
Mhm.
know. And she called everybody into her class and she played this documentary. And the documentary was about crack. And there were women on the staircase. They were vomiting. They were vomiting on their own feet with no socks on,
Yeah.
and just it was a very very graphic video about the impact that crack specifically was having on our communities. And I remember going to McDonald's in the mornings, and there would be people in McDonald's leaning over. I didn't understand why they were leaning over at the time. They'd be in McDonald's sitting in there. Sometimes they would, urinate in the seat,
Yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
in the dining room to have urinated on the seat. And I'm thinking, what's going on with these people? But after I saw that video, which which showed the word crack right in the middle of it, I understood that these people were dealing with crack. And in addition to that,
Right.
my own mother dealt with drug addiction. She also was addicted to crack. And so when I think of crack, I got so many memories. I have immediate flashbacks when I hear that word. And so, it just struck a chord with me when you said that you grew up in the crack era, because now I'm looking at you as someone who's been through some challenging times. So
Yeah.
now, how old were you when you actually went into foster care?
So I got taken away from them, I believe, the age of 3. So I don't really know the actual age points, but I can tell you that I know that 3 was the age I got adopted, and
Mhm.
13, I mean, 3 was the age I went into foster care, and 13 was the age where I got adopted.
Wow.
Yeah.
AK role model Antoine from Skates Out. He says, yes, that word crack destroys our communities. I lived through that in those projects. I was a witness.
Yeah.
Tough. It's tough. Um, can you talk to us about your foster care experience? What was it like early on, and what became of it?
What was it like early on? I think that it was like a mystery. I was tuned out because I was trying to
Okay.
figure out where I'm supposed to be. So a lot of it is I don't remember except for the real graphic things that I put inside of my show. Um,
Right.
there are, the first home I know I went into was a home where I was introduced to cats, and I wasn't really a big fan of cats. So that's why I still don't like cats till today. I remember that the lady had a lot of cats in that
Mhm.
household. Then the second household was it had more kids there, but it was a little bit more abusive, I would say, in
Mhm.
that household. And then I went to where I am now and stayed, which is the Brown family, which was a much better experience.
And that's phenomenal that you ultimately had a placement that was very positive in your life.
Yeah,
Um, thank the world. Thank people like those who stepped in and made your life a better experience. I want to appreciate everybody who decides to be a foster parent, whose heart is in the right place, and who ends up providing an experience for a young person that opens their eyes and softens their heart. Because we all know some of the things that foster kids go through. So
yeah.
now, what was elementary school like for you in a big city like New York? What was elementary school like?
Well, at first it was cool, trying to attach myself to people, try to fit in because you felt like it was ripped apart from a family. So you try to make your friends family, and I think it was good until I got left back in the third grade because of behavior issues, because of trying to fit in, be the comic, be the comedian, and
Mhm.
after I got left back, it started to turn angry. I started to turn angry because people started to make fun of you.
That's
Um,
right.
tease you and stuff because you got left back. So
You
I
know,
think after that
go
is
ahead.
when I started to get a little bit more angry, and then that's when the darker time and the darker person started to kind of develop.
Mhm. I can relate to you when you say that you became a funny person, and I think it's a natural reaction because deep down inside you're like, what just happened? You
Right.
know, my life just changed. I'm almost inside of a movie because I have new parents now. I know nothing about my original family, my original environment, and you're conscious of this, not only because you can clearly see you're living with new people, but because kids talk. You
Yeah.
know, everybody talks, and it turns into you processing a lot of information day in and day out. You have an idea of what's going on, and so in order to protect your innermost feelings, you become humorous, and sometimes you make a sport of it. I'm going to make everybody laugh,
Right.
you know. And one of the things about that humor is that sometimes it comes from a place of hurt,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and the world, being teachers or substitute teachers or whoever says this young man is a class clown, they separate you out, and they punish you essentially for what was a coping mechanism. You know,
Yeah.
people they don't always know that you were in foster care, that you're going through changes or you're going through trauma, but they know that there must be consequences to you
Right.
wanting to be a funny guy, and that's where the anger comes in at.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you hit it right on the head. That's exactly what happened. I was really trying to make jokes and make other people laugh because that was the fulfillment to make me feel better because of everything that was happening in my life that I
Right.
never talked about to anyone else.
Mhm.
Only way I knew how to express myself was to be funny or to be, to be a fool and be silly.
Right.
Um, but like I said, I got chastised or scolded for that, and which made me angry because it was like, you don't even understand my pain.
You're right.
You want me to be in trouble for being funny. It's like it didn't make any sense for me. So I'm like,
Right.
all right.
Right.
So I did a balance of both, where it was the funny sometimes some days, and then it was the angry, aggressive other days.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you think that anything could have helped to alleviate the stress you were going through at that time? I mean, was there an art class that you either had or that you needed? Were there outlets, or did you need outlets?
I think I needed outlets, but yeah, I think I needed outlets, but I'm not really sure because since they weren't there, so I don't know how to really
Right.
put that there. I'm not
Hmm.
sure I would have been in tune with it if it was put in front of me. I think I
Hmm.
had to go. I think for me, I had to go the route that I went. I
Right.
do, I do wish that it was there were other things, and possibly I wish I could take now, but I don't know if it was implemented at that time, it would have helped me. If that makes
Mhm.
sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense because what I'm thinking is sometimes it's just inevitable that you're gonna go through some challenges because you're gonna be upset at what happened in your life. You
Yeah,
know, I think about myself, my brothers, and other young people who are in the foster care system, and sometimes there's no way to prevent them from making decisions that can land them in trouble, at least early on. You
yeah,
know, and the hope is that some if not most of them will figure out how to deal with their emotions and figure out how to gain control of themselves, right?
right,
But something traumatic happens when you get taken out of your original environment and placed into another.
yeah.
So okay, all right. So what was middle school like for you? What was going on in middle school? Who were you? What was going on?
Oh, middle school, that was when, I thought I was the cool guy. Yeah, this is
Right.
funny. I never went back here, but I thought I was the cool guy, popular dude, dressed nice. Nobody could say nothing to me. I would say I was a little arrogant. I would say that.
Hmm.
I would say that came off a lot because I finally felt like I was being seen a little bit more. And
Hmm.
I think every kid in middle school feels like they're bigger than life,
Hmm.
because you're not a child anymore, but you're not fully grown, so you're in the middle stage. So I think that it super was in heightened when I got into middle school.
Right. Yeah. When you're in middle school,
Yeah.
your flat top got to be flat. Your waves got to be dipping. Something's got to be going on for you.
The waves were spinning. The waves were spinning since like middle school all the way up until before the pandemic.
Right. Jokes is on fire.
Yeah, it was crazy. all type of jokes, ruthless, everything. It didn't matter.
Right. What was happening? What was happening in the music industry when you were in middle school? What were y'all talking about at the lunch tables?
What were we talking about at the lunch table in the music industry? Ooh, junior high school? I think that's when I figured out that I knew how to sing. Yeah, I was a singer as well in junior high school. I think that's when the 112 was out.
Okay.
Those were one of my favorite groups. Sing the 112, the Cisco, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I got you, Cisco.
Things, Cisco, yeah, those type of Jagged Edge, Fab. You had was Fab there? It had to be, yeah. Think around that time during high school as well too, yeah.
Listen, don't if you went to the talent show in middle school and sang Usher, you don't have to call. Just say that, man. Just say that.
I never wanted to be. What's funny is for talent, I never wanted to be the center of attention. When it came to talent, like I really didn't like when people said, "Hey, sing on the spot, like you could sing, bro, like just sing to the girl." I never really liked that. Like I'd do it in a funny way and sing because I wasn't really sure of myself. But as far as like the talent shows and those type of things, I didn't really do as good as I was, and like I knew I was. I didn't really perform in front of like everybody.
I got you.
Stuff like that.
Now, the backdrop of all of this humor and energy and entertainment of one another, the backdrop is that you're in foster care. Those walks home must have been kind of deep for you, or walks or train rides, however you commuted back and forth. You must have a lot on your mind going back and forth.
Yeah, I think if we go back to elementary, I knew that, I used to, my mom had to come pick me up. So I know for that part, it was really, I would say some sort of embarrassment, I guess, because she was so much older and then she had this, bow-legged walk that she has because her legs were bad. So, the kids would try to tease me and stuff. So I would walk all the way behind her so that it wouldn't look like that I was with her, even though everybody knew. So it was that. And then junior high school, no, I think I occupied myself with friends. I didn't really have time to think because I would team up with somebody or be with somebody until it was time to go home, and they'll walk me to my building or I walk them to their building, and then it would just be straight up. I don't think at that time I really thought.
Right.
Yeah. Which is
now your counselors and people in your life, they're usually trying to get you to see that you're getting ready to have to lift off. You're going to high school next. At some point, you're going to have to lift off. As you entered high school, what was your life experience like? Who did you think you were going to become?
Going into high school, man, I thought I was going to be the same people that was from the project, just go to high school, bug out, and do whatever, be a dropout. I didn't see myself graduating or finishing high school at all.
Wow.
I think what changed that, it was my aunt, Myra Mason. She didn't keep me in the school district area where I would usually go. And I think that was Grand Street campus, something like that. So she actually made me go to a different high school, which is Mary Bertram High School in the city. So I was able to start taking the trains and not be so close to the hood, stuff like that. So even though Mary Bertram wasn't the best school either, right? It was a bad school as well, but it took me out of my environment to see a little bit more what life has to offer.
Right.
By going over the bridge, yeah.
So it sounds like you were literally getting ready to be a product of your environment.
Yes, 100%.
I think it's interesting how that happens. You don't even realize it, but you're getting ready to be mediocre. You're getting ready to do the same things that possibly some of your parents were doing back in the day. You're getting ready to do all the same stuff, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're right. Definitely. Yeah. I felt like now that you asking some good questions there, brother, too. I see myself. I was actually putting on the garments. It felt like putting on the armor to be that type of person. Right. And it took a while to even break that armor, to even after going different places and even graduating college, it still took a while to break that armor because you just thought that was the way that you were supposed to go.
Mm-hmm. When you say it that way, it seems like, all the experiences of your parents and the people who are creating you, they put they put a certain energy on you, and you don't know that energy is on you. How Kendrick Lamar say, put that ball in a spiral, and you're in a certain type of spiral based off of the actions of the people who created you. And if you don't wake up, you're gonna have the very same touchdown in your own life.
Yeah.
And so thankfully your auntie kind of changed her direction so that you could see, you could see a scale, you could see how to begin to move a little bit differently, because you don't necessarily know these guys like you knew those guys. Right. Okay. So, how did you fare in high school? Did anybody stick out to you? Were there coaches, mentors? Did your art begin to take off? What happened?
No, the art still didn't kick in at that time. No, I was just still wilding, a rebel, just trying to be the most popular person in school, the flyest. Yeah, that didn't kick off. The only person that really stood out to me, this is crazy. The only person that really stood out to me was one of my classmates. And this was almost at the end of graduation, because I almost barely graduated. And it was this guy by the name of Tyler Bell, and he was like the smartest kid in the school, but he was cool, so he always hung out with us. So we took him under our wing. And at the end, he was like, "What are you guys doing? Like, what are you guys going to do? Everybody's about to graduate. What college are you going to? What schools?" And it was me and my boy Laurel, and we like, college. We can't get no grades at college. Our grades are speed limits. It's over.
Right.
We can't go over there. It's right. It's quiet. Like we ain't getting no college. He was like, "No, it's a school. It's called Sullivan County, upstate. They just opened up." He said they take people who have low averages, and it's a 2-year college, and you need to go. Send me everything. Send me all your stuff. I'm gonna sign you up. And I'm like, bro, I'm not going, boy. I'm about to just get a regular job. I'm working at this job right now. I'm about to become the manager. I'm not going to no college. He was like, no, send me all your stuff. So I'm like, I'm not sending that boy nothing. So my other boy, Rel, sent him his stuff, and then he was like, yo, bro, you gonna say yourself? I'm like, son, we not gonna get accepted. He was like, nah, I'm gonna send it, bro. So I wound up staying up that night, sent it, and then like 2 weeks later, I got accepted to Sullivan County, upstate New York. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I wasn't even thinking about going to college if it wasn't for Tyler.
Ladies and gentlemen, drop some hearts and likes in the building. If you are entertained, the whole time his whole focus is just being devastatingly hilarious. He said his grades were like speed limits.
That's a fact.
all the way all the way through high school.
55 facts, like it was crazy.
I know a lot of people who were similar to you. I was one of those guys as well. It's like, listen, I figured out this muscle of laughter, and it feels so good in the backdrop of what's actually going on in my life.
Yeah.
I think I'll stay here. I love it here. How some people say, oh, I love it here, But then, at some point you start thinking, now, in order for my life to continue to be a happy occasion, I'm going to have to do something to win. At some point, I'm going to have to roll some of this energy over into some type of victory in my life. Now, when did you start thinking about, making your life an actual victory? Was it before you got to that campus, or were you already on that campus?
I was already on that campus, but see, then I haven't been away from home under my mom's supervision. So I'm home, I'm partying, I'm turning up every weekend, going crazy. It's lit, and the next thing I know, after the first semester, or the first year, first semester, I got a 1.0, and they like, yo, if you don't bring your average up, you going home. And I'm like, oh, nah, I can't go back home. It's too much fun. There's too many girls here. Nah.
Right.
I ain't going back home. So that next semester, I figured out how to go into the library and study my behind off all day. I think I got a 3.7 the next semester. So it averaged it out. So I was able to stay. And
wow.
And that's when I was like, you know what? Now it's time to really take life serious.
Yeah.
And Rel, he also told me something in a college dorm. It was because I used to still think that I was a gangster, you know what I'm saying? Walking around with my pants hanging down, like anybody who looked at me crazy or dapped me up wrong, I would, you know, try to press him or something. So he just brought me in a room one Thursday night, and he like, yo, if you want to be a gangster, just like go back home, because gangsters don't go to college. And that's the first time something just like really, really clicked in my head. I was like, oh, gangsters don't go to, you're right, gangsters don't go to college. They outside, they home, they still on the block. They still doing the thing that they doing. So
that's huge.
Yeah, that was a big switch, the light bulb switch for me. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm not trying to go back home no more. I want to really see where I could go. I started visiting different colleges. I went to my boy Pat school, which is Penn State. He always showed me a good time over there. So I went to Syracuse. I went to all of these other schools. I went to Temple University, and I seen that there were other people who were like trying to do things with their lives. I have never seen that before. So by me going away and experiencing all these other kids, especially Black kids in these colleges trying to make something for themselves, then I realized, okay, it's possible. I could actually do this. I could actually do something with my life as well. So that's when I started to pick it up. That's when I started to pick it up a little bit around Sullivan. And then when I transferred into Westbury, I said, I'm gonna give myself a whole different identity. I wasn't bringing none of this whole fake gangster stuff there. I was still partying though. I was still partying, but it was.
That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I want you all to be reminded that in this moment right here on America's Next Motivator, there comes a time when you have to realize that your life is in a new place. When his friend said to him, gangsters don't go to college, that's when it clicked for him that I'm in a new place. I have a new opportunity to do something totally different. I don't have to do all the stuff that I was doing back there because I'm here now. Take a look at your life. Realize that your life is in a new place. Embark on that new place. Become somebody new in that new place. Reinvent yourself. Yeah. You know, these are the keys to success that we're talking about tonight. And Jeffrey, before we go to the break, I want you to talk to a young woman or a young man who's in high school or in college, and everything is just a whirlwind and a joke to them, but they need some advice from you. What do you say?
Well, the advice for the people who are in high school or who are younger is to like really get serious. Your life is not basically for yourself. It's actually for who you're going to inspire. So just like how I am, right? I wish that I could have went back earlier and got things right so that I can be able to speak from a different standpoint. So I would just say for you guys out there is to really figure out what it is that you want and go after it.
Absolutely.
Play around. This thing is real precious. You got to really take it and grab it by the horns.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Jeffrey Brown today. We're going to have more from him after the break. So one thing I need you to do is sit tight. Don't go anywhere because we'll be right back. America's Next Motivator. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator. Hosted by me, Cedric Riley. Sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network and our viewership. And we're back. Jeffrey, how you feeling out there?
I'm feeling good, you know. I think I need to take some clothes off. It got hot with this interview, but
Hey, listen, I went out there and I found a video to give people a glimpse into what you do today. I'm going to play this video. You guys drop a 1 in the chat if you're feeling the message, if you're hearing the message. He puts a lot of effort into what he does, and he's here for a very phenomenal reason. So you guys check this video out. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're here with us tonight. Drop the fire emoji and let us know that you're in the building. Check this out. Can you hear the video?
Hurt me, hurt me. Why would you hurt me, hurt me? Yeah, mama. Yeah, I remember. Cold night, it was probably December. ACS, please tell me who sent ya. But you was too high, you probably don't remember. How could this be? How could you let this be? You really chose drugs over me? So I don't even care if we never speak. Heaven or hell is probably when we'll meet. You probably in these streets, doing a couple things for cheap. But I don't really care, cause God watching over me. Cause I don't really care, cause God watching over me. Cause I don't really care, cause God watching over me. Or is he? Where is he? Is he? Is he real, really? Is he real, really? Like my mom. God, where is he? Why would you hurt me? Hurt me.
This is an American story, y'all.
Why would you hurt me? Hurt me.
Wow. Put those 1s in the chat. Everybody like the video. Share the video. Share the video out. Whoa. Incredible. Talk to me about what went into that project.
Yeah, so that's a project from a series that I'm trying to develop right now. It's titled The Adopted One, which actually stems from a one-man show that I do. It's called The Adopted One, and this is one of the records from the show. So I wanted to figure out how can I turn this one-man show, since we were in the pandemic and I couldn't perform the show anymore. How can I turn this into something that can still be powerful? I didn't want to really get on the wave of doing the live shows because I wanted to still have the same impact and be able to grab you the same way that I would in a live show. So I figured out the only way that was possible is by doing something like this, which is a music video that kind of goes into a series. So that's exactly where I got that from. Yeah, so the music video, I really wanted to make sure that it was powerful and that you felt my pain, my hurt, and what I was experiencing. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I feel like I've executed.
I think the video was very powerful. We had several comments coming to the building. Ani Keene Riley says that was fire. Karen Hughes said it was fire. Yolanda Riley says it was excellent. People are suggesting the video to others. I want to definitely commend you for taking your experience and putting it into an art form that people can look at. You know, you put a mirror up to America when you decide to to climb up on the awning of the project building and express yourself like that with that bag. I want you to talk about that bag too. A lot of people. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. What you were about to say?
Yeah. A lot of people are in foster care, and when you move from place to place, your stuff just gets thrown in a bag. And so there's a pattern of just moving around with a bag. You look like you have no support. You look homeless, you know? Why are we always moving around with that plastic bag? What's up with that?
Yeah, that's crazy. You hit it now. I got goosebumps, bro. Yo, you hit it right on the head. That's exactly the same bag that I just got my stuff tossed in when it was time for me to move from one foster home to another. That same type of bag kept showing up. So that's why I put the bag in the video, because now it's like these are all of my baggage that I've been carrying throughout my whole entire foster, inside my life. This is like my life.
Yeah.
Inside this bag right here that I had to carry around. So it's really symbolic of carrying the bag.
Carrying your life around in a trash bag.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fancy trash bag.
Right.
But it was definitely, that's exactly where we had to put all our stuff and carry.
So you decided to create a one-man show. What do you mean by one-man show? It's called The Adopted One. And what do people find when they sit in the audience and watch that?
I think a lot of people find that they are blown away because of the certain topics I talk about. So I do talk about foster care and adoption, but I also talk about a lot of things that a Black man faces or people face that we don't talk about. I'm really vulnerable in the show, and it starts off as a joke, starts off as comedy, just like how I started off in life with, I was thinking that, the stuff that I faced was a joke. And then it goes into the real truth behind why I'm joking or doing the stand-up portion.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people always tell me like this is like one of the best shows that they ever seen. And they love it, they enjoy it, they want to keep. I know a lot of people say that, but for the two thing on home, I'm serious. Like a lot of people really, every time I perform the show, it's sold out. So I guess that speaks for what it is.
That's right.
Yeah, solo show is just basically a one-man show. It's just me. It's just me. I'm doing comedy. I'm doing dramatics. I'm singing. I'm rapping. Whatever musical components. Doing all those type of things on the stage.
You've been talented your whole life. You were born that way.
I was. So yeah, I didn't really get on the part where I was actively in church as well on the other side. So my mom, my adopted mom, she would bring me to church as well. So I did sing in the choir, and though that's where I probably performed most of my talents and knew that I could sing and stuff on that element. But in the school, I didn't think that, because I always thought that people in church would tell you sound good because they didn't want to be mean to you. So I never they try to be nice. They try to be nice, or baby, you good boy. You was killing it. So I always thought that I was good inside the church, but I never knew how I would transfer over into into school and stuff like that around amongst my friends. But yeah, I use all of those things in order to share my story.
How do you communicate with the world that I'm adding value for not just youth, not just kids in foster care, but for the world at large, the community, grown folks, adults? How do you ensure people understand this is for everybody, not just foster care?
Oh, because I just, we all have a story, and I just so happen to be adopted. So that's why The Adopted One is the title. But I just, we all have a story. I talk about a lot of things that I face that even older people can relate to. Mm-hmm. So I guess I go into some of it. So I talk about, when I was heavily consuming alcohol, and the reason why is because of who I seen drinking as well. So I talk about that. I talk about, I don't want to give everything away, but I talk about that. I talk about those type of things, and a lot of people resonate with that, and they don't even realize that they are consuming so much alcohol and doing these things because they think it's just something that you do on when you go out and celebrate. But it's actually, there could be an underlying reason of why you're doing all of those things. So I think it makes you, I put myself out there so that you can see a reflection or something that might be inside of you.
Mm-hmm. And do you talk about relationships?
Oh yeah, I talk about yeah. I talk about. Listen. I talk about every single thing. I definitely talk about relationships.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on relationships and how the young man without a father in his life, or without a mother in his life, or a young woman with the same no parents in their lives, um, have to go out there and engage in healthy relationships? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that at first it was. I'll talk about my experience, and I think at first it was, you're finding love. It's first of all, it's hard at first, and because you don't really know how to love or let someone love you because of the love that you never had or always
Mhm.
wanted to have. And then you finally trust that person, and then they break your heart, and then you're like, okay, this is the same heartbreak that I felt when I was being taken away from my parents or
Mhm.
from my father or whatever that might be.
Mhm.
So you start to build up those building blocks, and that's when relationships and starts to get a little bit harder because you don't know how to trust anymore because you feel
Mhm.
like everyone is. If your own mother, your own father could betray you, what makes me want to trust or believe that this person will be suitable to take care of me or help me or support me in any manner?
Right.
So
Right. Okay. Do you have any advice for a young man that might be out there who's trying to get it figured out? They don't know what to do.
oh man, the advice, I don't think I have any advice right now. But
Okay.
besides like loving yourself first and knowing who you are and dealing with the trauma that you might be experiencing yourself. Because you can't let nobody else love you if you don't love yourself, if you haven't dealt with the demons that might be inside of you, or dealt with the hurt, or went through those elements. There's nothing that no one else can do or say if you haven't done it for yourself. So that's the only advice I would say is do the self work, do the self help work, whatever it is. Write out whatever you need to write out, and clear the space so that you can be open enough to um, be loved and
That's
to
right.
also love. That is a piece of advice I would give.
Right here is where you become relatable to so many thousands of people in America. We have 444,000 youth in the foster care system today. We have a lot more people who are just growing up anywhere USA, having some of the same issues that you talked about today. And one of the most important things for anybody to do is to look at themselves and say, you know what? I have a flaw. I'm flawed. I'm either hurt or I'm not hurt, but I'm still flawed. I'm imperfect. And I'm going to work on that flaw as a way of building a relationship with myself so that I can build a relationship with others.
Yeah.
Everybody's have to cross that crossroad where you say, you know what? I know what my flaw is, and I'm either going to deal with it or I'm going to run away from it. There's consequences for running away from your flaw.
Yeah.
But there is a life of joy, success, and accomplishment in addressing your flaw. So right here inside of this hour on America's Next Motivator, what we're getting from you tonight is that, hey, work on yourself. Get out of the potentially abusive relationship that you might be in with yourself. Get out of it.
Yeah.
Say no to the abusive relationship that you're in with yourself. If you're listening to this episode tonight or in the future, get out of the abusive relationship that you could possibly be in with yourself. Because only then can you get on the other side of it. Now, talk to us about the success, the taste of success that you get when you do your one-man show and people walk up to you and say, hey, that was the best thing I ever seen in my life. How does that feel to you?
That feels amazing. Like it's total bliss to have something that you have hidden from family members, from friends, from the world, and to put it out there on the stage. And a lot of people say like, yo, that is the craziest, the best, the most exciting, the most high of life, right? Yes, that's it just makes you feel high of life. And then people just express themselves to you. And I think that what really felt great was when I made that initial post to tell people, my adoption, that I was adopted, because a lot of people would just see me and be like, oh, he's he's dressed nice. He always looks good. He clean cut. He's always partying. He's having fun. He always looks like he's okay. And then to actually drop the bomb on people of what I've been through, and to get the DMs and the messages and the calls from people who didn't share their story as well. I think that was I cried. I've never cried like that I don't think in my life. I mean, probably when I got those whippings and stuff like that, but
right.
I don't think I've ever cried from joy when I've seen how so many people were put into adoption, were adopted, or foster care, or knew someone who was in foster care. So
that's right.
I think that was the best feeling. And then, of course, to have the show, when you put it out, you only think you're doing it because first of all, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be like one-time thing. It was a challenge that I did when I went to the self-development course. And it was like, hey, what's something that you see yourself doing 10 years from now? And I'm like, that you can't do like next week. And I'm like, oh, I could see myself doing a one-man play. And it was like, oh, what's that? Well, why do you see yourself doing it 10 years from now? I'm like, because I got to get, I got to tour more with the comedy. I got to get my music out there. I got to get a million people on Facebook before I can have a one-man play. People don't know me. Nobody's going to come to my show if I don't have, I have a household name. Nobody's going to come to a one-man show. So to be able to get past that and take away all of the things that we build up that's stopping us from getting to our goal, and to bring it into front of you within a month or 60 days. I think it was 60 days. It was a 60-day challenge. And to do it for it to sell out within, I think the first one sold out in 5 days. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And then for it to, the next time I posted up, sell out in 3 days, and the next time I sell out in 1 day, and then the next day I sell out in 24 hours. It was crazy. I was just like, it wasn't a mistake, but it was like, I was never thinking about it going that far.
Right.
To even bring me here, actually.
Right.
This.
Right. And
a story that I never told anyone about.
Mm-hmm. They say some are called and some are chosen. You didn't wake up one morning and say, hey, I'm going to create a one-man show. Somebody almost provoked you to come outside of your body.
Right.
You had an out-of-body experience. You said you created this in 60 days, Well,
to be totally honest, I wrote I said I was going to do it in 60 days. I wrote the script in probably a week. I did the music in probably 3 days. I did all the music in probably 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like it was the stream of consciousness that I regurgitated everything, and everything that landed on a piece of paper or on a microphone just was like magic. Like it just came out. There was no long process at all. And even with the week of writing, it was already done probably in the first 2 days. The week was to just clean it up so that it could, it wasn't too raw, it wasn't too over the edge type of thing. But as far as the music came out like it was water. And it takes me a while to write. Before that, it took me a while to write music without in this way. This way, like I said, it just came out. The songs I put on this, I find a beat, and then the song would just come, and I write it out. Like I had my homegirl here one time, and I was doing one. I put on the beat, and I just wrote it, and she looked at me like, "Did you just write that?" I'm like, "I just wrote that." Like I just wrote that. It was like,
yeah, I just wrote that. Yeah,
it was great. And I didn't even write it. It was in my head. It just came out. It was crazy.
Right.
It was crazy.
So now, I want to make this a victorious moment for the general public out there. Everybody who's living a life right now. We're making this a victorious moment for everybody because of this. On the surface, you might look like somebody who's in foster care. You've been battered a little bit. There's been some trauma. Maybe you've never been in foster care. Maybe your life was great. You're just living a normal life. You're doing your thing. You graduated college and you're just living. Underneath that veil could be something phenomenal that is gonna make you cry tears of joy. That's gonna make you feel high off life. It's gonna provide the happiness, the assurance that people wanted to hear what was inside of you.
Yeah.
Your life can change. when you decide to pull something out of yourself. And so for all those people out there who feel like my life is possibly a dull moment, my life is nothing special, I'm nobody special, I'm just your local comedian, I'm just being funny. No, there's something deeper down in there. There's something deeper down in there. How would our world change if everybody said, you know what? You know, I did have something in that trash bag. You know, I did have something inside of that bag. Everybody's got to get in their bag. How we say, get in your bag. Everybody's got to get in your bag. Yeah, get in your bag. Pull something out of there. It'll change your life.
It will change your life.
It will change your life. So if you're somebody out there and you're listening to this show, or you might come in contact with this episode in the future, be encouraged. There's something inside of you. Jeffrey has something inside of him, and it brought us right here on America's Next Motivator to this stage right here tonight. So now, what's next for you?
What's next for me? So right now I'm trying to wait till the world opens back up. I mean,
right.
That's the next thing, and everyone, when it's safe, I really want to start touring so that the world can see the show. And I'm also working on trying to get it to the live, get it on live.
Okay.
I'm gonna try it that way. I mean, that's what I'm thinking about. So I think that's what's
okay. Right
for me. I just got my life coaching license, so I want to do a lot of I want to do a curriculum for foster kids and adopted kids so that they can use their gifts or go in their bag. I like that one. Go and get in their bag and
get in their bag,
yeah, take those things and use it as a outlet so that they could be healed from whatever trauma that they might be facing.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's it for right now.
I think we just gave birth to a new challenge right here on America's Next Motivator, the Get in Your Bag Challenge.
Get in your bag challenge.
We just gave birth to that right here on America's Next Motivator, as seen on America's Next Motivator. We talked about those trash bags earlier, the grocery bags, the bags, right? And there comes a time in life where you've really got to get in that bag. You've got to get in your bag, pull that treasure out. Everybody's got to do that at some point. So you've seen it right here. Now, I got a few questions for you as we round third base. I really enjoyed this conversation. But first, I want to know, how has social media allowed you to continue your platform, in the pandemic?
Well, in the pandemic, I won't even lie. I think that I've stepped away from it when the pandemic happened, because I came off. So March 3rd is my birthday, and I came off my biggest show, where I had about
last year. You mean last year before the pandemic?
Yeah, before the pandemic.
Okay.
Right before. So I think that probably in New York was the last show a lot of my peers had went to, because the next week we shut down. So that was my biggest show, and after that, I just wanted to take a break because I thought it was gonna. So the run that I had was just back to back with the shows. So I wanted to take a break. I thought the pandemic was going to be short. We didn't think that it was going to be this long. We thought it was going to be a few weeks. So I'm like, okay, I can take a break. I'm going to take a break from social media. I've been on there, promoting and doing all this other stuff. So I stepped back, and then after a while, a lot of stuff was happening. People were dying. So that's when I really had to say. And then there was other things that were happening with friends, and people were getting canceled or for a lot of certain things. So I said, you know what? I got to take a break until stuff calmed down. I gotta get off social media. So during the pandemic, I wasn't on social media. I took a break because there were a lot of things that were, I would say, toxic, and I didn't want to engulf in that. And it was a lot of people who were upset. People were losing jobs, and I didn't think that it was, for me, I didn't think that it was the time to try to capitalize on us being still. I think it was time for you to be still and to really pay attention to what the 2020 vision was within ourselves. So that's what I chose to do. I didn't so I wasn't really active on social media during the pandemic.
That's actually very responsible of you.
Yeah.
I think that was very responsible. Give people an opportunity to process what's going on, but at the same time, I want to commend you for holding the vanguard of the cause of foster care. Making an expression out of it that keeps foster care, adoption, and all those life elements in people's minds. You know, I think as we, you know, look at other parts of society, we forget about foster care, and that's a mistake, because foster care, adoption, child well-being is a space where America's Next Motivator happens. So I got 3 questions for you. I need you to answer them in 20 seconds.
20 seconds, all 3?
Final 20 seconds. My first question: what is survival to you?
Surviving.
Okay. What is success to you?
Success is being able to feel bliss. That's success.
Being able to feel bliss. That's what's on the other side of your trauma. Don't drink your life away. Don't drug your life away. Express yourself. Make something out of it. What's greatness to you?
Greatness. I have a quote that I've always went by: is greatness doesn't come without taking great risks. You got to take great risks in order to reach greatness. There's nothing that is going to come easy and that's going to be great about it. You know, anything that's handed to you is not really great. You have to be able to go and put the blood, sweat, and tears in it in order to reach the greatness. So
that's right.
I'll say greatness without taking great risks.
Jeffrey, I want to let you know I've listened to your story today. I love how you overcame, and I'm giving you your respect today. I'm also giving you a crown today while you can still receive it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your crown emojis into the chat. Put your crown emojis into the chat. We are giving you a crown today while you can still receive it. We are letting you know, letting the world know that you, Jeffrey Brown, you are America's Next Motivator.
Man, thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You got crowns coming into the building. Thanks for stopping by today, all right?
Thank you, man. What an amazing interview. I truly appreciate you for this platform, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much. Keep going on.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you got to do is stop by and pick it up.